But what's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about 2025's Frankenstein in 4K on Netflix. Let's go over a few tech specs. The movie is 149 minutes long, so 2 hours, 29 minutes. It's rated R. Aspect ratio is 185 to 1. It was shot in 6.5K, and it's got a 4K DI. And the audio is in Dolby Atmos. Now, if you guys don't know what the Dolby Atmos viewer is, you can find a link down below in the video's description that tells you all about it, what it does, and where you can get it. You can also find a list of gear that I use for these 4K reviews down there as well. Let's get into the audio really quick, which again is in Dolby Atmos. And this, just like Guillermo's other movies, solid audio mixes throughout, or it's a solid audio mix throughout. So coming in at 2 minutes and 46 seconds, this is at the start of the movie. This is where we see Frankenstein coming after the boat people. He's searching for Victor Frankenstein, which is on the boat. And we can see here that I've got all 6 top channels are active. This takes place out in the Arctic, I think in the Arctic. It's cold. They're stuck. Their ship is stuck in frozen water, and there's a ton of ambiance here. There's music, ambiance, wind blowing, fire crackling from the torches, and then you can hear dogs barking in the background as well. Heavy on the atmospherics in this scene, and you can see here in this shot here that almost all my speakers are totally active, and it's really aggressive in the top channels, not only in this scene, but throughout the entire movie. Let's move over to 24 minutes, 57 seconds. This is a short snippet of a much longer scene. This here, again, we have some nice atmospheric effects coming from this auditorium where all of the people are clapping and cheering in the background. Slight echo in the top of the room here, which kind of creates a big sense of space that these guys are in this big auditorium here. So it really captures not only what we saw in the original demo at 2 minutes, 46 seconds, but this one here, you get a nice empty, echoey space with all these people peering down at Victor Frankenstein at his first attempt at bringing life back from the dead. Let's move over to 53 minutes, 34 seconds. There's a rain scene in this, of course, because we got to hear the thunder striking down to power up Frankenstein. We get some rain effects overhead. We get rain effects throughout the lower channels. And yes, people always say, why would there be rain over your head? You're not going to hear rain over your head. Well, you will hear it here because it's happening outside of the Frankenstein castle. So it's hitting the top of the building, and it surrounds you also with some lightning, thunder strikes, and all that happening outside as well. So good atmospherics. Also captures the sense of space in this empty room, his workshop, his scientist's lab, which slight echo, also some heavy music going on in the overheads as well. Let's move over to 55:30, which is basically just an extension again of the scene that happened prior. More rain outside, which is happening up top. I isolated the top channels, and yes, we have slight rain effects that do happen in all 6 top channels. If you have 4 top channels, you'll still get the same effect as you would 6. And then, of course, if you have 2 top channels, then you will get, obviously, rain effects in your 2 top channels. And whether you have 2 height channels or 6 height channels, this will scale appropriately for whatever layout that you have. That comes in at 55 minutes and 30 seconds in. Now let's move over to 1 hour, 26 minutes. This here, Victor is about to blow up his castle. He lights everything on fire. We get the flames encapsulating all the lower bed channels. Some good heavy music overhead in the top channels. And then Victor is about to go back. As he's getting closer to the door, we get the big explosion in the movie. Skadoosh. There you go. Big bass drop during the movie. There's a pretty nasty scene here with his leg. And this is where the biggest bass drops happen in the movie. The first explosion. There is a second explosion in the movie. And then the biggest bass drop happens when there's this big piece of the castle that drops down towards the camera. And that, I believe, is the biggest bass drop in this movie. And it does get really heavy as well. Where the bigger action scenes take place, there is some really aggressive bass response. Beginning of the movie, this part of the movie, and then towards the end. And I think there's a fight with some wolves, which also gets some pretty heavy bass response as well. Now, coming in at an hour 31 minutes, we have some really nice ambiance here, a la A Quiet Place. Frankenstein is just walking through the woods and just minding his own business. We hear birds traveling. As you can see there, there's a dynamic object. That's a bird traveling from left to right and then right to left. There is wind blowing through the trees. You can hear the leaves rustling. There are frogs, there are birds, and it's just a nice atmospheric scene that puts good use to the top and the lower channels. And throughout the movie, there typically is a lot of music that plays throughout the lower and top channels as well. So audio wise, this is one of the better sounding Netflix movies that I've seen in recent years. So top tier audio quality. Now, as far as the video quality, this has some really good 4K detail. I mean, this was shot digital 4.5K. This shot right here is so clean. You can see the makeup they applied to this kid's face. I don't know if he's got some acne or whatever he might have, but a heavy layer of foundation on the kid's face. You can see every little strand of hair. It's so digitally 4K crisp and clean and just ultra sharp throughout the entire movie. There's another shot of Mia Goth's character, Elizabeth. All the fine little detailing on her costume. You can see all the little diamonds and jewels in her, and the frills, the lace on her dress, just right down to the thread count. Look great. Same here. Amazing looking detail. Every strand of hair looked great. The little jewels and just everything, just the texture on all of the fabric and everything just looked great. And then even the makeup effects on Frankenstein himself, even though we know he's wearing probably some glued on prosthetics, if you stare at it long enough, it can look a little creepy looking that he's got stitched on people's skin all stitched together. I mean, it does look somewhat realish. It looks like his wounds are healing and they're just red and scarred up. It looks really good. 4K crisp. We have some really great looking wide shots, scenic shots here. Just look at the colors there in the background. Very smooth, clean gradations all throughout this shot here. Same thing here. All of the trees and the foliage, the flowers, you can make out every little bit of grass in this shot here. It just looks great. Same thing here, even though we know that this is CG. I mean, this is just about as crisp as you can get for a CG shot. Look at the detail and the light just beaming through the clouds. That looks awesome. And then another kind of a shot at dusk. Looks wonderful. Now, I will say, as far as the color, you can kind of see it in this shot here. I don't know if this was per the stream, or maybe it was my displays, but I think it was from the stream. You can see that there on scenes like this where we get some dark to light gradations, that I did see some gradation and some posterization during the stream. And I noticed this on my projector and then less so on my TVs, but it's slightly there in certain shots. So for this one, you can see this here as it goes from dark to light. There is some light posterization here. I would assume if this comes out on physical media or in any other higher resolution format that this would probably be mitigated. But as it is, I did notice some of this. Specular highlights, I wouldn't say eye-searingly bright, but they do pop pretty nicely throughout the movie. Here we can see the shot of Victor on top of his castle. The sun is beaming through the background. That gets nice and brilliantly white. The explosions, of course, they jump off the screen. This is the explosion at the castle. Second explosion, the third explosion, just really bright. Nice specular highlights throughout. Now, as far as black levels, I did think the black levels in this are slightly elevated in many shots. These were not totally the deep, dark, inky, contrasty blacks that I was kind of expecting in this, but this does have almost like a very soft glow to the black. So some scenes are a lot better than others, but I think for the majority of what I saw, that the blacks were slightly elevated. So more on the grayish, really, really dark grayish side rather than perfect black levels. Another scene here, you can tell that this is definitely lighter and elevated here. This is when Frankenstein is showing off his first creation to the other doctors and scholars. You can actually see how the letterbox bars on the top and bottom are darker than the rest of the movie. But again, I did think that the black levels, for the most part, did look slightly elevated. Was it a creative choice? I'm sure it was, but just something to note as you are watching this movie. And the color palette throughout does have a very natural color palette. So overall, video quality wise, I think this is a great looking movie. I think if this comes out on physical media, it's going to look even better. Maybe not like a night and day difference, but it is for sure going to be one of the best looking movies if it does get a physical release. So I'm going to give this, for being a Netflix 4K stream, I'm going to go with a 9.8 for video quality. Audio-wise, I thought it was just as good as, physical releases nowadays. Better than some of the more recent ones, actually. I think this is way better sounding than F1. I know it's a different movie, but just the detail, the atmospherics, the top channel activity, the lower channel activity, all melded together to create a really nice atmospheric movie. So Guillermo typically doesn't miss on his movies and his movie mixes, and this one is no exception. For being a digital stream, I'm also going to go with a 9.8 for audio. Again, I think if this comes out in 4K physical media, whether it's on disc or Kaleidoscope, probably I would say 10/10 for both. But 9.8 for both for me, audio and video score. Question is for you guys, have you seen it? What is your score? What would you give the audio and video quality? Leave your comment down below. Let me know. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you again in the next video.